What's going on, people? It's the Xbot 448. And yes, my mic is working. I was just checking the meters to see if my mic is working. What is going on, everybody? Happy Thursday, I believe. I think we're on Thursday. I lose track of days when the kids are on vacation. I miss, I have no idea what day it is. I think I'm right. I think it is Thursday. And guys, I have put together this live stream. Well, I've tried to put together this live stream. I sent out messages to multiple DMs I'm in and stuff like that. What is up? Yo, RG Viper, man, I read your name completely wrong in my head for a second, but what is going on, brother? Dude, I tried to get this live stream going because I wanted a discussion on this because a couple things have come out in gaming. I know we're getting close to the end of the year, but when it comes to gaming news, especially with the year we're going into right now, gaming news does not stop. All right. A couple things have gone on. First off, people are making a big deal out of this guy Michael Pachter and his predictions for the next Xbox, which I feel is absolutely hilarious in my opinion. All right, this guy has come out and predicted things in the past that have been absolutely ludicrous. I haven't seen a quality prediction from Michael Pachter ever since back it had to be like back in the 360 era, and I forgot what he predicted. But he comes out there every once in a while, I guess when he feels like he's not getting the attention he wants. And he comes out with some crazy predictions. Now, basically what he said with the new Xbox, codename Anaconda, we're talking about the more powerful version, not the arcade version that has been rumored to be coming out at around the same time as well. But the more powerful version, Michael Pachter has said that it'll be compatible with VR, 4K, 240 frames per second. And believe it or not, guys, I kid you not, I see people on Twitter using 240 frames per second in their whole kind of like console war tweets and comments and everything like that. Like, yo, PlayStation fan base, you better watch out. 240 frames per second and all this good stuff. And man, guys, calm the hell down. First off, this guy has not been credible ever since like early 2000s, man. He has not been credible since 2003. Oh, Salty said he didn't get notified that I was going live. Yo, my bad, Salt. Salt, I just want to let you know, if you want to get in on this discussion, the chat gets in on the discussion, but if you want to come in on the hangout, just let me know and I'll send you a link. We're basically talking Michael Pachter and his quote-unquote predictions, and then we're going to go into something that I feel is very important to talk about. It's something that my brother K Mega put in a DM yesterday, and I'm looking at this like I'm worried about it. You know what I'm saying? In terms of how people are gonna feel if this is true. But let's talk about Michael Pachter. All right, people are taking that 240 frames per second and they're using it on Twitter as some type of argument for a console war debate. Guys, you need to calm the hell down. Like I said before, Brad Sams came out with a video, and he even came out with a video with a really kind of like rudimentary graph, and one of it was about frames per second. And going from like 15 frames to 30 frames to 60 frames, you see a difference in the gaming. All right? But then from 60 frames, you don't see that much of a difference moving forward, 60 to 120 to 240. All right, you don't see a big difference. Basically, I would think that your eyes can't even like capture a difference when it comes to going higher than 60 frames per second. But well, yeah, Viper, 240 frames per second would be probably optimal for VR. So this way it would get rid of kind of like that VR sickness that happens to certain people and stuff like that. That, Viper, I will definitely agree with you on. But people are going out there and using this 240 frames per second as like it's a win for Xbox. Guys, I would highly suggest against doing that. First off, you're not seeing a big difference when you go from 60 to 240 frames per second. And Brad Sams also brought up something that was really kind of like monumental with talking about FPS going above 60 in terms of the next Xbox. He says that the next Xbox is going to support what they call VSync 2. And basically what VSync is, your console is going to sync up with your TV, whatever your TV's doing, whatever your TV can do, can run. And, the frames per second and everything like that is going to be catered to what type of monitor or TV you have. All right? So in that instance, it's actually better for developers because the console is doing all that hard work that could have been coded into the game. And, VSync is just kind of adapting the game to your TV or to your monitor. So with that being said, guys, don't go out there running about 240 frames per second saying this is like this is etched in stone, it's the 11th commandment or anything like that, because guys, it's not. And for the most part, it doesn't look like the next Xbox is going to be doing something like that. Is it going to be more powerful? Yes. Is it going to be the most powerful console out there? I believe in Phil Spencer. I believe when he says things. I mean, he hasn't steered me wrong yet. He said like kind of like the parameters and stuff he wanted to do with the Xbox platform. He has pretty much filled in every single thing that he has promised to the Xbox gamer. So with that being said, I believe him. I believe that they are going to hold that power crown. It seems that there's a couple interesting ways that they are going to do that as well. And I got to say, one of the most interesting is also coming from Brad Sams. Now, again, I want to let you guys know, none of this has been confirmed, okay? None of this has been confirmed, but when you talk about Brad Sams, he does have kind of like that inside track when it comes to Microsoft, so that includes Xbox. That's what he talks about on his channel, in his articles and everything like that. He talks about stuff coming out from Microsoft. And with that being said, he was talking about the next generation of consoles, and I'm going to say next generation because it's kind of like what we're used to saying, even though Xbox is like, yo, we're done with generations. It's about upgrading systems and stuff like that. The new Xbox coming out is definitely going to be more powerful than anything we have now. But he said that they're putting in a feature with the next Xbox that's going to help xCloud and cloud compute. Now, I'm a little kind of like cautious on this feature, and the reason why I'm not cautious in terms for me, but I'm cautious in terms of public reaction, of gamer reaction. All right, because when it comes down to it, Xbox has put themselves in a place where they cannot screw up. They can't screw up, on marketing, on presenting ideas to the gamer out there. All right, I looked at the chat real quick. Z Black Rider said that Brad just published a book about Surface was inside for hold on. Brad just published a book about Surface, so was inside for research. Yeah, Brad Sams, when it comes to Microsoft Corporation, for some rhyme or reason, I'm not saying he's a good or a bad guy, but for some rhyme or reason, they like Brad. All right, and they let him in on things, and they let him, put information out there. When they say, yeah, it's cool, you could put that out there, but they invite him into the doors. They have him checking out a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff has to deal with the Surface and computers and everything like that. But he also gets kind of like an inside track on Xbox as well, and it's because they like him. They invite him over there. He checks out stuff, and he reports on it when they say he can. All right, so with that being said, this feature is gonna supposedly, again, this is rumor, all right, this feature is going to use the console that you buy when you're not using it to help power the xCloud and Xbox compute for other gamers out there. So basically, Microsoft and Xbox will be using your console that is in your home, hooked up to your internet, for computational tasks, for helping power the streaming service, xCloud, to gamers out there that are streaming games and stuff like that, which on the technical side actually makes sense, all right? Because if you are using xCloud to stream, say, to your phone, it would make sense that if there are Xboxes within the area that you live or the area that you're playing that game, if you can use their power to help your streaming be smoother, more reactive, and stuff like that, you literally get a better streaming experience by having that power around you and being able to tap into that for the service that you're playing games on. My whole thing, if this is true, there could be a huge backlash out there from the gaming community. We saw what happened when it came to the Kinect and the Always Online. All right, look at T Reaper Xbot. If you think of millions of models running the cloud, that would be dope. Reaper, to me, I don't really care. I have a cell phone. I know that the company that made my cell phone is using my cell phone all the time. All right, but there's a lot of people out there that don't realize that. Oh, all right, Smurf said that Pachter was joking when he said 240 frames per second. But dude, that doesn't really tackle the reason why I brought it up, Smurf. Hyper Smurf, shout out to you. In the chat, why I'm saying that is because people are out there on Twitter using that in like the console war argument, and I'm asking you guys to chill out with that whole thing. I don't want you guys to look like you're crazy. All right, and at the end of the day, that's what's gonna happen. All right. But Brad Sams basically said that when your console is not in use, when you buy a Scarlet, whether it's the arcade or whether it's the Pro, Microsoft wants to use your system that is in your home, plugged into your internet or hooked up to your Wi-Fi, to help power the xCloud and the Xbox compute that's in the cloud. Commute. We're all going to Washington, people. But I'm a little nervous about this, guys. If you remember back in 2013 when the original Xbox One launched, and this is why I told a lot of people back in the beginning of this generation, I was like, basically, you have a mini server that is a console in your house. And when they were talking about Always Online, they were planning to utilize everybody's Xbox One to help power the experience for other gamers when you weren't using your Xbox One. So if this is true, they're basically saying the same thing that they said at the beginning of this generation. All right? It's just whether or not the gamers out there are more accepting of doing something like that. And I think that is an issue. I feel like when it comes to Xbox and it comes to marketing and getting their ideas out there, explaining features and stuff like that, they do not have a great track record. And to me, there's a cause for concern here that they might be trying to go down the same path that they went before. All right? Now, granted, when they went down it before, they couldn't explain anything to anybody. But they haven't showed any signs that they have the ability to do that anymore now compared to then. All right, so Z Black Rider says Microsoft will never use your bandwidth for that. All right, and I hear you on that, man. But I do have to say, like I said, when the Xbox One was bundled with Kinect, and it was said to always be online, there was people out there talking about the FBI will be spying on you. I don't want anybody looking in on me when I'm playing games in my boxers. Of course, a lot of people thought about, because a lot of people that smoke weed play games as well, and they didn't want the camera kind of like honing in on them. When they were smoking weed and playing games. There was a whole issue about a company being able to control a device that you purchased with your money at their will. All right? That is kind of like the issue. And if they're going down this route, I know there's a lot of pro Xbox gamers out there. It's like, I have no problem. Salty has a question about OBS. Yo, Salty, I'm glad you brought this up. We'll continue that topic, but guys, I want to let you know, I took this live stream as to give people a little taste of what next podcast will be looking like in the future. So guys, let me know if you like the way, the gameplay is set up, the way the name is set up. I still have the Hangout there, but there's a lot more kind of like graphics going on. Me personally, I think it's cool. I don't think I'm necessarily done with the way it looks, but this is a preview to what 2019's next podcast is gonna look like, generally. So guys, let me know what you think about that, if you like the way that this looks as well. But on that note, guys, I gotta ask you if you are concerned as well when it comes down to it, because I know a lot of people in the chat, Xbox is your preferred platform, and I know you want to see them succeed, because you want to see them learn from whatever mistakes they made in the beginning of this generation. And what better way to see that they have learned that than by launching your next series of hardware in a much better way, right? And when I saw what Brad Sams was talking about with using our consoles that we bought, you know what I'm saying? When those consoles come out and we go and buy them, we get codename Anaconda, whatever, final name they're gonna call it or whatever. And when we're not using it, Microsoft is using it to help xCloud and the cloud compute, basically, for other gamers out there. All right, let's see. Z Black Rider in the chat says Scarlet is designed so Microsoft can drop the PCB into a server, and when it's not being used for streaming games, Microsoft can use it for Azure. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Dude, you don't think that there's people out there that are going to have an issue with that, Z Black? And this is the reason why I wanted to make this a discussion. I know my brother Knox, he was kind of like slotted to join me on this, and we could have kind of, gone back and forth on whether or not we liked it, whether or not we think this is going to work, how the gaming community was going to, think about this in terms of a feature, if they were going to reject it or accept it. But unfortunately, my brother Knox, his job was like, you know what, last minute, you're going to have to go do this for us. So he's actually doing stuff for his job right now, and he wouldn't have been able to make this live stream. I also, I reached out to CCC, I reached out to Crossfire, and I reached out to Next Podcast to see who would want to talk about this and kind of get their opinions out there. But either way, it wasn't going to stop me from talking about this and seeing what the gaming community out there thinks, because I think they can have an issue on their hands right now. So Z Black Rider says, not your console, but the streaming service. But Brad Sams talked about using your console, to help bolster that streaming service as well. I watched the video. I saw what he said about it. And again, this is only rumor, but this is rumor from somebody who has an inside track. Oh, Snaps is like, I'm working, ho. I guess you could say so am I, right, Oh Snaps? In here talking about this and really putting it out there. Guys, you know, I prefer Xbox as a platform. I love kind of like the first party titles. I feel like there's a couple things they need to do moving into next gen. But when they're doing something that, I took graphic design and marketing. It was years ago, but I took those classes. And when I see something that could possibly be a road bump in their marketing for the next hardware, I'm not going to sit down and be quiet about it. I'm not just going to cheer every single move. Um, Yo, Vogel. I'm not going to sit there and cheer every single kind of like move that they do as the greatest ever. They have had a bunch of great ideas. They have put a few of those ideas into effect where I feel they are great. Like Game Pass. You guys hear me? I praise Game Pass. I think it is an awesome service. I think it is something that will just keep getting bigger over time. Especially when games like Gears come out, or even when the new Xbox launches, and you have a lineup that includes the new Forza Motorsport, the new Halo, and they're all going to be there day and date on Game Pass. I think that's absolutely huge. And I will let people know that I think that is a game changer when it comes to console gaming. But I also will talk about things I am concerned about as well. And when it comes to what they're trying to do with the new Xbox, if this is true, I have to say that multiple times through this video. Otherwise, people will come to me on Twitter and it's like, well, nothing is better. Nothing has been like certified yet. Xbox hasn't said yes or anything like that. I know that. Ooh, Vogel. You know what, Vogel? If you have an opinion on this, I will send you a link. How about that, brother? There is a link coming in. I'll definitely. I want to hear what you have to say about this. Let me. I am on. Here we go. Vogel. Next. Paste. All right, there you go, Vogel. You have a link to get in on this, man. I hope you have your arguments ready. Obviously, if you want to come in on this, there's something that you might disagree with me on when it comes to this, so it'll be cool to hear what you have to say. But I don't know, guys. What do you think? Do you think that there's going to be some backlash if this rumor is true? Yeah. Nemesis, what are you talking about? I was cornered in that Halo gameplay. I was cornered, and I kind of like fought my way out. I don't see anything wrong with that, brother. I see nothing wrong with that. What is up, Don? Welcome to the live stream. Huge shout out to everybody coming in to check out this stream. It was kind of it was definitely an impromptu stream. I wasn't planning on really doing anything like this today, but the more I thought about, first off, the Michael Pachter thing, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. I have no idea why anybody still gives Michael Pachter any type of credit, any type of credibility. I thought he lost that before the start of this generation, and I feel like he comes out and he says some crazy things when he feels like people are not paying attention to him. So when it comes to that, guys, please do not quote Pachter if you're trying to make like an argument, when it comes to the Xbox console, because I'll say 9.5 times out of 10, Michael Pachter will make you look like a moron. All right, because he himself makes himself look like a moron. All right, I think we just kind of got to boycott the whole Michael Pachter thing. And then when it comes to, Xbox using your console to help power the xCloud and cloud compute, I don't know how that's going to go over with the gamers if it's true. Again, if it's true. Yeah. What guys, I am glad everybody is digging the gameplay, even if you're making fun of it. It shows me that you are watching it, and I really, really do appreciate that. Guys, we are waiting on Vogelskrieg to join the hangout here. Let me see if I got any messages here. Yep. Well, I put the hangout on his Twitter. I DM'd him on Twitter to see if he wanted to join up. But guys, what do you think when it comes down to it? Would you be happy if your console was being used by Microsoft when you're not using it to help improve the experience of xCloud, to help improve cloud compute, them going in and using, your system when you're not using it? I gotta know what you guys think. Yeah, Z Black Rider said referencing Pachter is as bad as quoting Trump. And dude, I definitely would agree with you. Yo, Nemesis, this gameplay is actually the winning gameplay. I can't even talk anymore. The winning gameplay from last Saturday's next podcast. So it already won. But guys, I hope you like I said, the general look of what's going on here. Minus the subscribe kind of like PNG that I have in the corner. This is pretty much kind of like the structure for where I think next podcast, like what it should look like moving forward through 2019. Put the link. Oh snaps! If I put the link in chat, I might have 26 people in a hangout real quick. And like I said, I am waiting for Vogels right here. Oh shoot! I think we have a Vogel here. Just cannot hear him. Hold on one second. Yo, Vogel, are you there?
Yep.
Why can't I not hear you?
Let me see. What's going on here?
Check my settings here.
See.
Guys, this is kind of what goes on behind the scenes before next podcast anyway. We got to make sure everything is all set. Now you get to see it live. I'm over here testing my communications. Oh, high definition. There we go. Communications. Right there.
See.
How come you guys can hear me and I can't?
Hello?
Huh. Hold on 1 second, guys. I might have to change my headset here.
It's weird. See. Then looks good at my end. It's funny I could hear Bot.
Hello.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yo, guys, I cannot hear him.
I can hear you though.
How come you guys can hear him and I can't? Let me check my settings one more time here. So microphone. All right. Speakers.
That's weird that Bot can't hear me, but I can hear him.
Yeah, but Vogel, I cannot hear you. It'll be hard to have a conversation with you if I cannot hear you. That is so weird. Oh, I know why. Stunod. I had my soundbar hooked up to my computer. There we go. Yeah, stop laughing at me, dude.
Now you can hear me. There we go.
Now I can hear you. Yeah. Yo, thank you for coming in, man. I really appreciate it. I was doing a last minute thing. I was like, man, I gotta, instead of making a video, I wanted to go live on this and kind of like have this discussion. Now, it was basically two topics, right? The first off is Michael Pachter, dude. What do you think about people like giving this guy credibility? Are you one of the people that give this guy credibility when he talks about gaming, like he knows what he's talking about, or are you in the boat with me that he hasn't been credible since like the 360 era, man?
Yeah, I've never really paid much attention to guys like him. Since I've been, getting more into the community and listening more, in depth stuff, and then this whole 240 thing I think it's just too far fetched right now. I mean, technology for consoles is not there. So,
I mean, and I know the PC elitists out there, they love to talk numbers. The bigger their numbers, the better
yeah.
in their case. But I don't know if did you see Brad Sam's video where he kind of broke that down, or did that happen?
No.
That he showed like an arcing curve, right? And he showed that going from 15 like frames per second, 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second, you would definitely see a benefit. But after 60, it stops going up and it starts going more like horizontal, right?
Yeah, plateaus.
Yeah, it basically plateaus, even though you're getting so many more frames per second. You're not really seeing that benefit so much. Do you think that's pretty much the way? I thought he broke it down really cool, doing it with a graph like that and showing people. Do you think that's the way it would go when it comes to the frames and how frames per second works?
Yeah, using the graph really helps people understand that the way it works and the way it looks. Because 60 frames, I mean, even years ago, they said getting up to 60 frames is that's where you got to get your best, visual quality and stuff. So
Hmm.
after that, it's it does like he was saying, showing it's like very minute, difference. And yeah, you're getting a lot more frames, but that little bit better is not going to be really cost effective as far as the go right now,
Yeah.
because it's going to be so expensive to go up to 240 hertz or frames per second, and it's not going to give you that much more for that price. So
Yeah, and another thing that Brad Sam said about this, as you can see, and huge shout out to my brother K Mega because he put this in the DM. I had watched it kind of like briefly before he put it in the DM, but when he put it into the DM, he was like, "Check this out." Whenever my next podcast family says, "Check this out," I kind of go more in depth on what they're trying to show me, and
right.
even Brad Sam says when it comes to like 240 frames per second, if the machine is that much more powerful, he would rather them use that power because it's only a minimal.
Hey, stop yelling!
Yeah, guys, stop yelling.
Yeah, sorry, I had to
Nah,
yell at him.
dude, but he even said
He's
that.
like he's just like your 10-year-old. He's 9 and he's the same, just like your twins.
Yeah, well, the twins have Chromebooks and they spent gift cards on Roblox money, Robux
Oh
and stuff like
yeah,
that. So they've been a lot more quiet the last couple of days, but because they're busy doing weird stuff.
yeah. But he
But
gets on Fortnite and plays with people, and he's all too much into it,
oh yeah,
calling people hackers and stuff. It's hilarious. I laugh at him.
that is definitely the twins. He was hacking. I was like, dude, you're on console.
I know. That's why I tell him. I say, you don't know what hacking is. Stop
Yeah,
it.
dude, I tell them that. Yeah, but what Brad Sam said when going back to this, if it's powerful enough to do 240 frames per second, because
You gotta
the
be quiet.
advantage because the advantage is minimal, he'd rather have them use that power for other things, and I think that's the boat where I'm at as well. I'm not in that elitist kind of like format where I need the bigger numbers. Are you kind of like you're in that same boat with me, man?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see. the only reason, the for the 240 frames and all this, higher resolution, I mean, 4K is outstanding. I mean, yeah, 8K is phenomenal. I've seen some, like Samsung has a commercial for, quote unquote, an 8K TV and stuff. I mean, it looks great on my 4K TV, and that's what their thing is they were showing is how 4K content um, on a 8K or 8K content on a 4K TV looks so much better. Even though it's a 4K TV, it's just a 4K, resolution. Just gives you that much more crisp and stuff. But that's years away. I mean, you're not going to see stuff like that for
Mm.
you know minimum 5 years. I think. I mean, because 4K is just really getting into just really get going right now. So it's still a lot to do with 4K, and a lot more people are still adopting 4K. So
Yeah, including me. I still have a 1080p television. I think Mooch and a couple other of my friends they're trying to rally for me to get a 4K television already. But yeah, at the end of the day, and plus when if 8K becomes a thing within next generation, I think what they would just do is come out with that mid-gen refresh. You know what I'm saying? Even if they're doing
right.
checkerboard to 8K or something like that, they don't necessarily need it by 2020. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no, no. I mean, that's the thing with all the way that like I mean, Sony's proved it that you don't need to have native 4K. You can still get 4K other ways, and so
Just
there's
call it
still
dynamic and call it a day.
yeah. Well, yeah, you make it sound like it's better. You use keywords to make it sound like it's the better 4K than native and dynamic. No matter what you're saying, dynamic, anything dynamic sounds better
Yeah.
than just plain whatever. So it's always things like that companies use to make things sound better and to get people to not know or realize that it's not as good, but it's still good. I mean, dynamic or checkerboarding 4K is better than 1080p. I mean,
Dude,
it's
you're
it's, it's
you're
still 4K.
you're preaching to the choir on that one because back when like the
Yeah.
beginning of this generation, people were talking about how many P's and everything like that, and I was like, but the game looks great and all this good stuff. But of course, it was Xbox that had the lower pixel count, so that
Right.
then it was a big deal. But now with the checkerboarding and I feel like I'm saying waterboarding by the way when I'm like checkerboard. I'm like it's bad. You can't do that. That's torture. But like I'm not a big I don't think you've ever heard me say about a new game coming out like, oh, I don't like it because that's checkerboarding. I don't really
Oh
get into
yeah.
resolution like that. Um, but the second topic I feel was a little more interesting because it kind of brings us back to 2013. And when people were looking at the Xbox One and you know, why is it less powerful but more money? Of course, there was the camera put into it, but you even had people from Xbox coming out and saying that with the always online, they were planning on basically using your console when you weren't using it to help kind of like bolster the power to other gamers that have the system as well. And this kind of sounds like the same thing with if it's true. Again, this is a rumor. I think I've said
Yeah.
it like 10 times. I'll probably say it like 10 more times that this is not like verified from Xbox or whatever. Um but to use your console that you bought to help bolster the xCloud streaming service and cloud compute for other gamers out there, I feel like that there could be a kind of like a negative backlash here if it's true. Do you think gamers? Do you think they are more acceptable today of letting a company use the hardware that they bought and put in their home, hooked up to their internet? Do you think they're more accepting today, or is this like a concern for you that people might it might kind of go back to 2013 with that issue?
Yeah. See, the I always look at things, it's kind of similar to you. I've noticed, a lot of times. Um, Now, anytime there's something new, it's a human nature not to like change,
Yeah.
and that's why 2013 was the way it was. It was because there was Xbox tried to go too far, too fast, and that's why they're doing okay now because they slowly went that way after
Well, they pulled. They
2013.
pulled. They had to pull back. They had to do a complete
Oh
180
yeah,
and then progress forward.
that's
But
what I'm
but go ahead.
saying. With and then doing this, it all depends on. I mean, what are they gonna use? Like my console's sitting here, and what are they using it for? As far as that is it being used to help you know give everybody else a better experience?
Mm.
Then okay, if it's helping other people, but when it's like you were talking about your phone and stuff, a lot of people don't realize or don't really, think about it is that all your smartphones, like especially like Android, Google owns that. So when you accepted all them permissions and stuff, like every app you get, if you accept the permissions that okay, you can use my camera, you can look at my contacts, you can look at my photos and stuff. Now that basically gives that person that makes it, company that owns that app to look at all that stuff. I mean, they can go on and look at it, and you have no idea. So that's kind of a privacy thing there. So it all depends on what they're using the system for, I guess. Now, as far as Xbox, you're not. Most people don't have private pictures and different things like that on there, but there's still some security things
Well,
on there
it's
that you got to be
basically
careful
well.
of.
Even when it comes to the console, I'm not saying like they're grabbing your information or anything like that, but
Right.
basically using it to help bolster like cloud compute. Say, Crap Gamer, he says he lives in kind of like the sticks and his
Right.
internet sucks or whatever. But if a couple of his neighbors have the new Xbox as well, it's going to help improve his gaming when they're not using their consoles. Now, another thing is I want to give a huge shout out to the Don who says I am confused about the whole thing. And Don, you're kind of proving my point here. All right? I've been on YouTube for a while. I look into stuff as well. So if I'm confusing this situation, can you imagine when they announce the Xbox, if this is true and they try to talk about this feature, what's it going to do to everybody else out there, the other gamers, you know what I'm saying, people who don't necessarily look into it as much? If I'm confused by it, imagine what they're going to be.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I look at myself as kind of in between the casual and hardcore gamer because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
Call you
in the
moderate. We'll call you moderate. How about
yeah
that?
because I know more than casual, but I don't know as much as the hardcore. Like you guys are considered hardcore, and I know what I know because I listen to you guys and I follow all you guys, so that's why I know so much. But I don't like a lot of you guys. Like you'll read all these articles and stuff. I look at some of the stuff, but I don't go too much into it a lot of times because a lot of times it's stuff that doesn't make any sense to me sometimes, and it's like far fetched stuff, and so I always try to keep it to a minimum. But that's the thing with like I understand a lot of this stuff, but there's some stuff I'm not sure about, don't understand about, and like I used to work at Walmart in electronics for 2 years, and it there you would be surprised how many times people come in to buy a game, buy a system, they ask you questions like I'm like to me it's like this is something you should know, but it's something I knew because I'm in gaming, I like gaming, and
Mm-hmm.
I know that stuff. A parent that hit internet, which I can relate because my dad, he's not into that, he doesn't know anything about that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, technology, so to speak. So there's he don't something happened on his phone. I don't know what I did. Fix that.
Yeah, no,
His
my
computer,
mom's the
his
same
computer,
way. Yeah.
yeah, his computer is like he has no clue. I don't know what I did. It's changed. I don't know. Change it back. And I'm like, I'm trying to figure out what the heck you did.
It's hard for me to change it back, Dad, if I don't know what you did to begin with.
Yeah, he goes, well, I don't know. I was doing this and then pushing this, and then I don't know what I was. And I was like, oh,
here we go.
but that's the same way when you have a customer come in the store and they want this, and there's like because when I was working back, it was after Titanfall came out, Destiny was coming out, and I was telling them, I'm like, this game is an online only game. You got to have internet to be able to play this game. You got to be able to install this game. Like some of the 360s were coming with 4 gigs back when they had that arcade version with 4 gig hard drive.
Yeah.
And people were getting that because it was cheap. It was lower, so they were getting.
It's like, you got to get a hard drive.
I'm like, but and I was telling them, I'm like, okay, so if you're gonna play this game, okay, it comes with Minecraft, no problem. That's small. It's only several hundred MB, no problem. You could put that on there and play that. But if you're going to play any other game, I said you're not going to be able to play it because the amount of the file size is bigger than 4 gig. So you're not going to be able to play any game because we had customers, come back and having a fit because they bought that system someplace else, and they go, well, they never told me that. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you.
That's why you should have came here first. Yeah.
But the person didn't do the job, didn't notify the customer, and educated them. That's the thing. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are not educated in this area, so they have no idea. Yeah. So when things like this happen, it's like, so when like people are going to get this new Xbox, most people aren't going to know that they're, that Microsoft, Sony, or whoever, I don't know if they're all going to do it or if it's just Microsoft, but say if they get a new Xbox and Microsoft is able to use it for the thing, well, they might, when they hear about it and they just hear that, oh, Microsoft is using your Xbox when you're not using it, and then there might be some confusion there. I think a lot of people are going to be turned off, by that, and it could possibly hurt Xbox if they don't get the information out and get the knowledge out sooner than later, because if they wait, it's going to be it's going to really hurt them. So I think if this is something they're going to do, they got to make sure that they get the information out, make sure they advertise them, say, okay, this is how we're having it set up, this is the way it's going to be, this is going to be beneficial to all gamers, it's something that's going to help people like you were saying with our buddy Crap, people that don't have high internet speeds or people that can't afford to get the best internet speed that has a lower internet speed. So I live in a small rural town, I'm not real big, and the speed that I can get up to 100 megabytes per second if I pay for it. Yeah, I mean it's over $100 a month to get that.
And trust I know we pay over $100. I think we get 150 down and like 20 up.
Yeah, and that's pretty good. But like you're saying, you're paying a lot of money. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, like right now, I got 35 megabytes down, and I think it's 5 up, and I pay we pay because we got the package, so we got all 3. So it's like 55 because it's $10 off for the internet. Mm-hmm. So it's normally 65, so not very many people, $65 a month for internet, that's, you look at it, that's pretty expensive.
But I would love to pay that, man, to be really honest with you.
Yeah, but you're not getting the speed that you would get. See, that is true. I'm getting like 5, you're getting like 5 times, almost 4 or 5 times more the speed than I am.
Okay, I take that back then.
See, I'm only 35 megabytes per second. You're at 150. So, that's the problem. A lot of people, because of their budget and stuff, they can't afford to get that.
So Vogel,
this would help.
Look at Nemesis in the chat. He says he gets 400 megabytes per second, like download speed.
Who asked him?
Nemesis, we're all moving into your house, by the way. And we're all taking part in that 400 megabytes. But
yeah, no kidding.
I think like if they were going to do this, there is an option on the Xbox One now that when you shut it off, you can either shut it off like completely, or you
Oh yeah, standby.
or you put it in standby so this way you get your updates and everything like that. Now, I feel that they would probably attach it to kind of like that standby option. Al-
Right. Yeah. So
Although, like, they would want to have as many consoles as possible kind of like available at certain points in time to help, with
right.
xCloud and
Because
stuff like that.
because I know some people, might not know that. They might, just have it shut off completely. Or maybe the new Xbox, it's going to be, where that's the only thing where it goes in a standby mode. It doesn't have a complete shut off mode
Mm.
unless you unplug it.
Yeah,
Maybe that they might do that, so that way they know guaranteed that all the Xboxes are going to be always on and able to connect.
I think Nemesis in the chat also said, well, they won't be able to use it if you unplug it. And
Right,
that is a great point, but who is going to go through all that? You just bought brand new hardware. You want it to be convenient for you. You don't want to go through any extra steps just to make sure, something like this. Now, me, I don't really care if they're going to use my console to help out another gamer's experience. I don't really care. You know what I'm saying? That's not a big deal to me. But I'm one of those gaming YouTubers that realizes it's not all about how I feel either. You know what I'm
right.
saying? I try to think more generally to the broader like audience out there. And you saw what happened with the Xbox One and how
Yeah.
they couldn't explain that. Like would this be a concern for you that it's going to go the same way if this is true?
Well, see, that's my concern right now is because it's the unknown, right now.
Mhm.
Like, because really, there's not really known what, besides, helping making, everybody's, able to kind of connect better, and stuff like that. But until there's more information out and stuff, I don't think there's going to be a lot of people willing to accept this. Now, it all depends, but like I said, a lot of times, with new stuff and stuff that people don't understand, that they're afraid of, and they don't want to take a chance. So I'm just afraid that's what's going to happen, and that's why 2013 was such a shambles, is that people, the media, and everybody didn't understand what they were trying to do and what everything meant.
Mhm.
So when they had that big backlash, that's why you know
Well,
it hurt Xbox.
that backlash hurt me as well because I didn't mind the always online system. I was looking at kind of like sharing games, having a list
Right.
of like 10 like friends and family that I can share games with. I was all
Oh
in for
yeah.
that.
You see, I like that, and the being online all the time. At first, at that time, I didn't have unlimited internet, so that was the only concern I had, is because if it's always online, and always connecting and updating, I had, at the time, a certain amount of data I could use a month, and then I got charged, this amount
Hmm.
per gig over, like 25 cents a gig over,
Yeah.
so if you went 100 gigs over, I mean, you're up a creek, but now I got unlimited, so that don't bother me. And everything else sounded pretty cool, and I liked the way it was going because I, was looking at, I had two boys, and I knew, they were gonna get, in the game, and they were starting to, and I wanted to get them, eventually get them Xboxes so to play with them. I had a nephew that's older than my oldest. He actually just turned 17 this year, just a couple days ago, Christmas Eve, and he was, getting into gaming and stuff. So I had, so I was like, I had, several people that I could buy a game and I could share it with them, and then we all could play, by buying one game. It was going to be great. And then everything went haywire.
Everything went 180. Huge shout out to everybody checking out the stream right now, guys. I appreciate you guys coming in and seeing what we have to talk about. Another YouTuber, my brother Ryan the Professional, is in the chat as well, and I want to let Ryan know. First off, we tackled the whole Michael Pachter trying to talk about 240 frames per second when it comes to the new Xbox and how theoretically like that's not even worth it when it comes to console gaming and stuff like that, and why people are giving this guy any type of credibility when I felt he personally lost credibility back in the 360 PS3 era. And we're talking about something. Brad Sams came out. Brad Sams, he's kind of like an insider when it comes to Microsoft, whether it's Surface, whether it's Windows, and Xbox as well. And he was talking about how Xbox has this plan or this idea to use the new Xboxes that come out, to use them when we're not using them, to help bolster cloud computing and xCloud features, for other gamers. So basically using our consoles to help out other gamers' experiences when we're not playing games. And huge shout out to Nemesis. Nemesis, I think he was like, he basically said, if it's true, there will be outrage just like in the beginning of 2013. And he said 100%. And when it comes down to it, man, like, the reason why I asked this, the reason why I'm concerned for them kind of like putting this in there, even though the tech sounds really cool and I don't have a problem with it, I'm not the only gamer out there, right? And I know there's other gamers that have different ideology and all that good stuff. And my concern is Microsoft has not been good at learning lessons when it comes to marketing, when it comes to explanation of new hardware and stuff like that. They haven't shown me that they have changed anywhere in those kind of like key areas when coming out with new hardware. And if this is true, my big issue is how are they going to explain it to the gamers that makes it acceptable to the gamers, and if they'll if gamers will adopt that as saying, you know what, that's a cool feature. If I can help out other people in kind of like their gaming experiences, I'm down for that. But I don't know, man. Like, I was down for the Xbox One in the beginning of this generation when they were talking about all that stuff. Xboxes that are hooked up to the internet, making my Xbox more powerful in the long run, basically always online. I had no problem with that whatsoever. I just don't know if the gaming community
I don't know.
is ready to accept all that now. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Probably Need for Speed because he was playing that for a while.
Yeah, I beat Need for Speed, by the way.
Yeah, I figured. I don't know what's going on. I think because I have my headset on, and every time I mute it, it's still showing that you can still hear for some reason.
All right, well, as long as the gameplay ain't going on, because then it went on over everything we said, and no, it's not. So that's a good thing, man. I remember beginning of next podcast, I had that issue a few times, and
yeah,
Lady Foxfire was one of the main people. Like, dude, the game. I remember I scared the crap out of her one time. I forgot to mute one part of the gameplay, and I think it was either an engine revving or somebody screaming, and it scared the crap out of her.
That's funny. But yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's something we're gonna have to just keep our ears open to and see, what they say and how it's gonna go.
Yeah, and I mean, when it comes down to it, you see what happened this generation in terms of console gaming. Like, Xbox, they can't afford to bundle, like to kind of bobble, kind of like their idea for the next series of hardware. When it's unveiled and they talk about what it can do, first off, I don't think if they're planning something like this, I don't think they can hide it from people. They have to talk about it, right? And they have to talk about it in a way that the kind of like the mass population will be like, all right, that makes sense to do that for people and stuff like that and get them to accept it. And I just don't know, with kind of like their track record, man, this is going to be crazy. They're going to have to go from being a bench warmer in the NBA, and when it comes to explaining your vision and marketing, becoming a bench warmer in the NBA to becoming Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing that I think that they got to do is, explain it, come out, early and explain in a way that, that people are going to understand. Your casual gamer, your big market has got to understand what you're trying to do and what your vision is. If they can't understand or see what you see,
Mhm.
then you're going to have a hard time, just like you did at the beginning of this gen. So it's one of those things that they got to make sure that they do correctly. Otherwise, they're going to stumble like they did this gen. So I just hope that they can do that.
Well, shout out to Taser Delight in the chat. It said Xbox will stumble out the gate hard again if they do that. The media will eat them alive. And Taser, I would generally agree with you with how the media has gone, kind of like this generation. But I checked out Basement Radio Arcade podcast. If you guys don't know, my boy Enrique does that on his channel, named as the same name as the podcast. Now Matt Piscatella, he works at MPD. He was actually a guest on the show last night, and I was watching him as people were talking about next gen, and he knew stuff. Like you can tell by people. He had his webcam on, and he was talking to everybody. He knew stuff, and he still seemed to be kind of like accepting on where Microsoft is going. Like I asked a question in the chat about like the whole four SKUs thing within the next 2 years, if he thinks that would work and all that good stuff. And you can tell by his answers that he kind of knew, kind of like behind closed doors, where Microsoft and Xbox were going, and he seemed to accept it. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting if it's true, if the media will go out there and do what they did in 2013, or if for some rhyme or reason now this is acceptable as well. Do you think, Vogel? Do you think a lot will depend on how the media interprets what Xbox says in terms of the next console, and if it has like this type of option, if it has this function in it to help out other gamers?
Yeah, that's one of the key things is, you know not just explaining it so casuals understand it, but explaining it where the media is still going to report it and say it this way you are intending it, and not spin it or not be able to spin it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of because there's things that they've done before to Microsoft where they spun it where the 360, when the Kinect came out, oh, it's spying on you and all this other malarney bullcrap. And it's just one of those things where they got to be careful, and making sure that they say the right things and make sure that they show the right things, so that way everybody's understanding and there's no twisting words or spinning things and making it sound worse than it is, or
Mm-hmm.
Making it sound like it's something bad when it's not. So that's the one issue that I do have. I always have, since then, is that there's always the media. This is a thing that, and it's not just gaming, media in general do this. They have it, their vision and what they want to perceive, and they put everything geared towards that.
Mm-hmm.
So their narrative is what they want you to believe in, what they want you to think. So that's one of the hardest things to ever, for any company, is to get the media to go and see your narrative and not go their other direction.
Go with their agenda, basically.
Yeah. So that's something that's always concerned, and hopefully, if it you can't stop it, but hopefully it won't be as bad as it's been, in the past.
I got you. I mean, at the end of the day, like, for anybody out there who thinks my concern is irrelevant, all you have to do is look back at the beginning of this generation. And I know a lot of it was, Microsoft not being able to explain kind of like what was going on. I think a lot of it as well is gamers weren't really ready for the options that Xbox wanted to put in front of us. And when it comes down to it, if you look at gaming today, a lot of the stuff that they said in 2013 is basically how we game today. And now
Yeah.
you're seeing like streaming services becoming a thing, which I've said this like for over a year already, that these companies want to go to streaming services. At the end of the day, that is their end goal. It cuts down manufacturing prices. It has a constant stream of revenue coming in. This is where they want to go. And basically people out there, they tried to tell me for so many reasons why I'm wrong. They tried to tell me that the technology just isn't there, and look at what we're talking about now. You know,
Right.
um, at the end of the day, it's going to be up to them to kind of explain exactly what the next Xbox is going to be, exactly how they have it in terms of tying in with cloud computing with the X Cloud. Shout out to Jago. Huge shout out to Jago in the chat. He basically said that they have to explain their complete vision in layman's terms for all the casual gamers, and
Yeah, that's true.
I agree with that 100%. Like,
Yeah.
even though if you're at like E3, which is known as kind of like a hardcore gaming conference, people are going to use clips and stuff like that to explain certain things when it comes to, new hardware coming out. So you have to keep it in layman's terms, easy to understand, and your complete vision right in front of all the gamers out there to see if that whether or not they'll accept it and move forward with it. But as long as they have the complete picture, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, Vogel?
Yeah. This is basically what I was trying to say is, that same thing. So as long as they're able to do that, where they say it in simplified terms, layman terms, so everybody understands and knows what they're doing and what they're trying to do. I That's the only thing that they can do, and hopefully everybody be able to see it and understand and accept, say, okay, this is pretty cool, this is gonna be beneficial to everybody, so hopefully it all works out.
All right, and another shout out to Nemesis. Nemesis has been going crazy in the chat. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I love when people really get involved in the discussion and talking to everybody in the chat. And Nemesis, man, he is getting MVP today. He basically said, "Can you imagine if Sony has their own version of Game Pass with their games going into it day and date, all for $10 a month?" That would be awesome for gamers. So whether or not you prefer Xbox and kind of like their first party offerings, or if you prefer PlayStation, you have a similar service to whatever platform you want to game on. I mean, that would be awesome. I think Sony is going to do something like that. I'm not sure if it's going to be ready for the launch of the PlayStation 5 though. I think they might touch on it when they do their PlayStation experience. I think that's where they're going to show the PlayStation 5 or whatnot, and they might like touch on, they're working on that. I don't think it's going to be ready for 2020, but I think down the road, I really feel like both companies are going to have similar services to offer gamers. I don't know, Vogel, what do you think,
yeah,
man?
yeah. I think so too, and I always felt that Sony would kind of do what Microsoft's doing now, and they'll eventually have their own streaming, or game service and stuff like Game Pass, and it's already been come out that they want to put PlayStation Now on all devices, and
Yes.
basically the same as what Microsoft has said that they want to do. And the thing is it's understandable. Of course, they want to get their software out everywhere because that's where they're going to make a lot of money.
Mm.
If you subscribe to PS Now and you're constantly playing games on all your devices, they're constantly, say there's a game that there might be a game that you play on your mobile device that you don't play on your console. You wouldn't buy this game to play on your console because it's not really a console type game, but you got it on your phone. So when you're out of the doctor's office waiting for 2 or 3 hours for the doctor, past your appointment time, you know how that is.
Yeah.
You can sit there, be playing, the game that you got on your PlayStation Now, or Game Pass, or and you sit there, play the game, and they made money because you bought it through them. And it's just one of those things where any way that they can make money and save money, they're going to do it. And I think this is one of the things that eventually more people are going to adopt streaming and these services, and you're going to see more of it, and you're going to see more game developers accept it and go into it, and because they're going to see more money. So eventually I think it's going to evolve to not just like, this is not going to be the only thing. I think there's still going to be physical, because there's a lot of millions of people that still buy physical every year, so that's not going to go away for a while, I think.
Well,
But
even in the music space, people who cut
oh yeah,
albums and stuff like that, like you can still buy a disc, for an artist
yeah,
that came out with an album like this year or whatnot. But for
yeah.
the most part,
That's
everybody's iTunes or doing something like that to get the
right, and
songs.
that's one of the things that I've always used. And it's like people always worried about physical going away. Well, CDs have been around for a long time, and they're still around. They When a singer comes out with a new album, they still produce a CD. You can still buy a CD.
Mhm.
Most people do digital nowadays for their music, but there's still people that
I do
would want.
FrostWire for my music, so I don't pay for it at all. Oh man, you got so quiet.
I've used Perry Frostwire, and I just do that.
Yo, you guys so dude, I am an honest YouTuber. I will let people know exactly what I
I
do. I don't
Yeah,
care.
I used to do that and stuff, but it got to be a pain because there was times where it wouldn't work, or something was messed up, or they changed something because they, new regulations or something, and I just got out of using LimeWire, FrostWire, and all that good stuff. And I just have YouTube Premium now, so I just go on YouTube Music and just listen to any song I
Xbox
want.
Xbot the Music Pirate. That's probably gonna be my new name on Twitter from somebody out there. But yo, I want to give another shout out. J Slayer J66. Thank you for joining in on the live stream, man, as we're talking about these things. And one of them, I feel is really important. But he said he has a data cap, so they're going to use the small amount of internet he has for other people. He says he's not down with that. Now, Jay, I want to let you know we don't know how this is going down yet. All right, we don't know if it's true at all. We are taking the word of somebody named Brad Sams. He is an insider when it comes to all things Microsoft, whether it's the Surface or whether it's Windows, and yes, Xbox as well. Um, they haven't said anything about if it's going to affect your data cap if it is true. So I'm not trying to jump the gun here and say, oh yeah, that's what they're going to do, or no, hell no, they're not going to do it, because I don't know that. I am not that type of YouTuber who's just going to come out and be like, you know what, they're not going to do that if I don't know they're not going to do that. All right.
Right.
But what I can tell you is, as of right now, there is no evidence either way that they would use your data. If they did use your data, that would be, pardon my French, but that would be fucked up. That would be
Yeah.
something that like I'd be calling them out on, like,
Yeah.
daily.
That's a negative thing that they can't have. They can't, and that would be a big negative thing for a lot of people, because just like Jay, there's a lot of people that aren't able or don't have like a unlimited package available to them. Like when our first when our town first got their cable provider, they had internet. They didn't have an unlimited package. All they had was the data cap ones. And then, several years later, they finally, I happened to be on there and I'm like, oh, they got unlimited now. So then, I talked to my dad, and then we, slowly went up because we were using more data, because, things are, bigger files, and things are, just using more data now. So we slowly, eventually got worked up to having unlimited. So it's just one of those things where not all providers have unlimited, unfortunately.
Yeah, and
So
I think another thing is, once you see the implementation of 5G in terms of Wi-Fi and everything like that, I
yeah,
think a lot of internet service providers are going to be changing their contracts. I think you're going to get more, I would say, uncapped kind of like data going to your home in terms of your internet, because they have all these like smaller boxes that they're using for the Wi-Fi, which has like kind of like astronomical uh, internet speeds. And I
Right.
think when that happens, I think what's going on here is, even though everybody out there uses the internet, we're running into issues with the service providers, data caps, this and that, all that good stuff. I think with 5G, they're really implementing internet as an everyday way of life. It's like drinking a glass of water in your house and stuff like
Right.
that. Like it's gonna be one of those like functions, daily functions.
Yep. Yeah. See, that's the thing that once 5G gets established and they get the infrastructure all done and it gets set up, it's
Trump
going to
Trump's on
change a
board with
lot.
it too. By the way, he already had a meeting. I actually watched the meeting that he had, and somebody was presenting to him the whole 5G situation, and he was like, "Well, when can we have this up and running?" He gave a date. He was like, basically like, "All right, you have the government support, whether you like Trump or not in terms of him being a president." He just basically okayed government support when it came to 5G and these
Right.
internet companies. So it.
Yeah, and that's good because from what I've heard of 5G, it's the speeds are I think 5 times faster than what 4G LTE is now, and
Mhm.
it's going to be the bandwidth is going to be so much better, and you're going to be able to have more people on this 5G network than you do with the 4G LTE. So you're going to have your people aren't going to have the slowdowns or when the congestion like they do now. So, and it's going to help because it's supposed to we're gonna give Wi-Fi to places that normally don't get Wi-Fi because it's
Mhm.
so much better bandwidth and stuff. So it's gonna be interesting to see once it comes out and they get it going.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to Magnetic Storm. Basically, he's saying that these ISPs, they're not going to give up data caps and stuff like that. Well, here's the funny thing though. When it comes down to it, doing business in this country, if the government tells you you need to calm down with this and kind of go along this guideline or whatnot, um, businesses have a tendency to do so. All right, I'm just saying, if they want government funding, if they want government projects on the side and stuff like that, that's the influence that goes on kind of like behind closed doors. I know we talk about free market, and
Right,
it's really up to the companies to do what they feel they have to do in terms of their business solution or whatnot. But the government comes in and it's like, well, if you want this project, this military project, this government project, this and that, whatever, you kind of fall in line with what we see in the direction of this business. And if they do that, then they're going to make a shit ton of extra money doing government projects and military projects, as well as, working with what they call the private sector when
right,
it comes to 5G. So that there's a lot of like interweaving going on, like that goes on when it comes to, talking about internet service providers and companies of that nature. But at the end of the day, guys, I just wanted to give a heads up on what Brad Sam said. I know quite possibly the gamers out there, this kind of like video, this article could have went right by you guys, and nobody really, you know, saw it or something like that. And as far as kind of like the YouTubers out there, I know K Mega wants to talk about this, and I think he wants to praise kind of like the direction that Xbox is going. I did tell him, I was like, dude, there's a huge, you could get a huge backlash with talking about this and absolutely praising it, because of what happened in 2013. And there's going to be people out there that will attack, Microsoft being able to use your console to help gaming for other gamers, like when you're not using it. And again, I'm not saying that this has not been verified from Microsoft or Xbox whatsoever. It did come from Brad Sams, who is an insider. Um, but Vogel, on that note, dude, thank you for coming in and kind of like expressing your opinions. I thought these two topics were more of a discussion piece more than me just going out and saying this is what's going on. And it was good to have you come in and share your thoughts on this, man. Uh, I think unless you have any final words on this, man, let it be known. Other than that, if you have any shout outs, anything you want to let people know about before we wind down, dude, this is your open mic. What you got,
Yeah.
man?
Hey, I just want to thank you for giving me the invite after, even though I asked. But anyways, I
Yeah,
just
I like how even after I asked, but yeah. Anyways,
but yeah, I just wanted to kind of get on here and give you a hand because I know sometimes it's not easy just being on there trying to talk your opinions, and you don't have someone to kind of say might have something different or might say something that you don't think about or something. So sometimes it's a little bit easier to have more than one person.
oh,
But
definitely, definitely.
yeah, it's you know I just hopefully they get things you know no out and told the way they want it to be told so that people understand it and
Basically, you're
hopefully
hoping they take the foot out their mouth and explain what the hell is going on for the future, right?
right. I That's what they need to do. When things like this come out, they need to come out and say, okay, this we do want to do this, but let us explain and so you guys understand what we're going, what we're looking at, what we're trying to do, and then hopefully we you never know. E3 is the next big thing, where we're going to get announcements and stuff. We don't. Hopefully, maybe if this is something they're looking at, hopefully they'll give us some insight of what's going on and what they're looking to do. But we'll just have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and
Uh,
see. 2019 is going to be a crazy year. I said
yeah.
this. I said that I was like, if these consoles are coming out in 2020, we're gonna get rumors, we're gonna get information, we're gonna get leaks all
Oh
throughout
yeah.
2019. This is fun, man. I'm enjoying this right now. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is this is the time, the 2 years before
Uh oh.
when you hear all these rumors and stuff going on. So then once you get the actual you know reveals and stuff and find out what rumors were true and what rumors weren't true, then it's like, oh wow, oh, they really are going to do that. And that's the thing. I always try to keep my expectations to any of shows down and try not to expect anything.
Mm-hmm.
That way when I see announcements, I'm like, oh shit, they did do that, or oh, they are doing it. And that's like this past E3 when it was announced, like they were getting this studio and they were possibly getting this studio. Well, I wasn't, I didn't hear a lot of it, so I was sitting there, and of course, I didn't realize, and shame on me for not knowing. But I thought Playground Games was already owned by Microsoft, because they were only making Forza Horizon.
Yeah.
And so I thought they were already a Microsoft studio. And then when they said they got Playground Games, I'm like, oh, they don't own them. Okay, well now they do. And then some of them I didn't even really make a difference, because they were small studios. But when they said they got Ninja Theory, which everybody just that was the big one.
Mm.
I was like, oh shit, they got Ninja Theory. I just was going crazy, because Hellblade was such a good game that I haven't played it yet. I'm gonna play it because I got
Yo,
it downloaded.
Vogel, I can honestly say you knew my thoughts on Hellblade when it first came out and when it first came to Xbox. I was like, I understand what they're trying to do, AAA quality, AA price, all that good stuff. I was like, this game looks like it's gonna fall off a cliff at the end. I will let you know there is definitely enough gameplay and enough content in that game to warrant a $30 price tag, no doubt. I was you know me, I'll say when I was wrong. And dude, so far I've enjoyed Hellblade. It is on Game Pass right now. I've
Right.
enjoyed Hellblade, and I'll let people know that like I could indeed. I got to stream to the end though. I'm on like part 3 of a live stream, so I'm gonna stream it all the way to the end. But I have been pleasantly surprised with Hellblade so far, man.
Yeah, I seen. I got a notification that you were streaming and stuff. Didn't get a chance to watch it. But yeah, as soon as I heard it was coming to Game Pass, I'm like, yes, then I could play it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I got just like most people, you ain't got unlimited amount of money to buy everything, and
Yeah.
not everybody's Mr. Boomstick or
Uh,
Crap Gamer.
exactly. Exact. Boomstick buys everything.
Yeah. So, but now this is so hopefully I'll be able to get to that
Mm,
sometime the beginning of this year and get play that and see what all the hype's out about. But yeah, I just think everything's you know it's going to be a very good E3, I think, and it's going to be a very good year. I think we're gonna hear a lot more about a lot of this stuff that we're hearing now,
mm-hmm.
and hopefully we hear more detailed and more info of explaining all this stuff. So
Yeah.
um, that's about it. I'm on Twitter, Vogus Creek, same as here, Xbox Live Vogus Creek.
Mm-hmm.
Um, working, I got a PlayStation. I'm working on. I gotta get a hard drive for it because it didn't. It was a used one. It didn't. I got it cheap because it didn't have a hard drive. So I gotta get a hard drive. So as soon as I get that going, um, I'll be Vogus Creek on that too. So hopefully I can get that going here
Hopefully
when I get
nobody
it.
took Vogel's Creek. Hopefully, like, can you
I,
imagine, dude?
I, I,
You
if
have
I remember, I think I've already went on the website and already
claimed it. Like,
claimed it. I'm pretty sure I did because I checked here when I first got it. I'm pretty sure I already made an account and everything, and I got to double check, but I'm pretty sure I've already got the name. So, but yeah, so um, yeah, hopefully everything will work out, and the income tax time I'll be able to have 50, $60 just to get a 500 gig or 500 gig or so uh, hard drive to put in it, and then I can get playing that because I did win God of War from Mr. Boomstick at his Christmas with Boom show last Friday, so I can't wait to play that. And then I
oh,
gotta get a
oh,
VR.
game of
I
the
got
generation right there,
yeah.
brother.
And I was to say, well, and I gotta get a VR too because I also got the Creed game, which is based off the movie VR, and
Okay.
then Super Hot VR game. So I got a couple
My
VR games.
son
I
just
got.
picked up Super Hot for his HTC Vive. So, if I want to try that out in VR, I'm pretty sure he would let me do that. He's been playing a VR game called Beat Sabers, and I've been playing that game with him. That's a really cool game. On PC though, there's a mod, and they have a bunch of songs that you can just download and play. Um, and I like that, and I'm not sure if I don't think the PlayStation VR has that kind of like mod situation going on there, but that's a really cool game for VR as well. But yeah, dude,
Yeah.
we're gonna wind it down right now. So I'm gonna put your Twitter in the description as soon as we go off the air. So when people
All
come
right.
back and
Cool.
check it out, they'll be able to come and follow you on Twitter. Guys, definitely follow this guy. He is all over the gaming community on Twitter. Definitely one of the active people out there talking games and just sometimes random nonsense as well, because that's what we
Yeah.
do on Twitter. Um, huge shout out to everybody who came in to hear us talk our opinions today. It was greatly appreciated. We are knocking on the door of 2019. As you can see right here is a little bit of a preview of generally what the next podcast will look like moving forward as well. So I hope you guys are digging on that. If you come in and check this show after it's live, definitely hit up the comment section. Let me know what you think about the look. Let me know what you think about the topics as well. Do you think that this could possibly be another 2013 for Xbox? And what would happen if it is? Um, and when it comes to Michael Pachter, are you one of the few out there that try to give this guy credibility, or are you in the same boat as us that he lost credibility, before the start of this generation anyway, and I have no idea why people are quoting this guy still, or why he still somehow makes news out there in the gaming industry. But again, guys, thank you for hanging out with us. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet, definitely subscribe. Look in the bottom right-hand corner of the stream. It tells you subscribe. So go ahead and do that. I am on the verge of 3,500 subs. Thank you guys so much for the support. As usual, hit that thumbs up and the comment section if you're coming to check this out, after we've gone live. Shout out to the community, guys. We are going to have a great year coming up, and I cannot wait to show you guys some new content on this channel. Maybe a possible new live show to go along with next podcast. There's a lot of things in the works right now, and I cannot wait to show you guys. But until then, have an awesome Thursday night. And I don't know. I got to go make dinner and then play something. I just don't know what I want to play yet. But Vogel, thanks again for hanging out with us. And
No problem.
I'm about to hit the outro. Here we go, people.
All right. Later, guys.